For my final project, I chose to further explore the relationship between music and the aging brain. The purpose of my project is to best discover why music has an effect on aging brains and why classical music in particular is considered the best genre to facilitate an effect on the brain. I chose this topic because I've been a classical musician myself for the past 8 years. I chose to study more of music in the brain because I also have always had a fascination with the brain and human behaviors, and I wanted to see how deep is the relationship between two of my interests. I think music in the brain is an important concept to pay attention to because while science can explain the relationship between the two to a certain extent, there's also part of the phenomenon that cannot be explained, and I think maybe more research should go into it. In this video, I hope to answer all 5 questions and hopefully create a better understanding of the connection between music and the brain. Before I can jump into the relationship between music and the brain, we have to better understand the diseases that deteriorate the brain and what is causing them to occur. While Alzheimer's and dementia are commonly thought of as 2 separate diseases, Alzheimer's is actually a symptom of dementia, as are most serious diseases such as Huntington's and Parkinson's disease. Alzheimer's is currently the 6th leading cause of death in the United States, but it is believed to be the 3rd leading cause of death among the aging population. What's physically going on is that inside of the brain, abnormal deposits of proteins form what are called amyloid plaques and tau tangles throughout the brain, causing once healthy neurons to stop functioning, eventually lose connections with other neurons, and then die. This results in shrinkage in parts of the brain and the spread of damage. All of this damage occurs in the hippocampus and the entorhinal cortex, which are both inside the temporal lobe. Memory problems are oftentimes one of the first indicators of Alzheimer's, but every case is different and symptoms can vary. Like I said before, shrinkage in the brain is what leads to some of the common symptoms of Alzheimer's, such as speech impairment and difficulty with movement. The disease is incredibly debilitating and causes individuals with it to experience a gradual shutdown of their bodies. Alzheimer's nor dementia have a specific cause they are linked to, and scientists still don't fully know how it comes about or how to cure it. There are factors that have been linked to it, such as people-specific lifestyle choices, but the disease is mostly unpreventable. Music comes into play because it is not uncommon for people to hear of sufferers of Alzheimer's suddenly regaining their memory for short periods of time and recognizing family members or friends. While these bursts of recall are random, many times these individuals have an association with music already. Either they were musicians or have a heavy knowledge of music. It has already been proven that musicians are better than non-musicians when it comes to performing cognitive tasks. Music has been considered a positive brain stimulus for ages because it stimulates cerebral activity in areas of the brain that allow for cognitive, motor, and emotional processes. Again, older musicians have been known to perform better than adults that are non-musicians when functions such as their working memory or speech perception are tested. A great example of a positive effect of music on the brain, specifically in musicians, is 92-year-old Alain Labar. Alain has been battling dementia since 2009 and normally struggles with day-to-day tasks and has very little short-term memory. Alain is a former classical composer and music teacher who started playing the piano at the age of 3. While she can rarely remember the name of her carers or whether her daughter is visited that day, her musical skills are still sharp. In the upcoming video of Alain, she plays the beginning of the 3rd movement of Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata, but before she starts playing, she states that she doesn't know it.
We're moving on to a 3rd movement. Go ahead. Of the Moonlight Sonata. Okay, go ahead.
I don't know it.
That's fine.
So why classical music in specific, why does it have the best effect on the brain? So classical music enhances the activity of genes that are involved in dopamine secretion, learning and understanding, as well as memory. The effect of stronger cognitive function was clearly present in Elaine when she was playing. While she doesn't have any memory of learning Moonlight Sonata or playing it in the past, her musical memory remains intact. And any interaction with music promotes a positive brain stimulus. Dementia patients or Alzheimer's patients are normally encouraged to pick up an instrument. I think classical musicians in specific are at an advantage because majority, if not all of classical music can be heavily analyzed, a structure can be identified. I think the brain recognizes the structure and patterns found in classical music, which aren't necessarily as present in other genres of music. In Moonlight Sonata, for example, a trained musician can hear when the key changes, the switch from A section to B section, exposition to development, the different parts of the sonata form in general, while other genres, those specific aspects can't be as easily identified. So I wanted to see if I could really test the differences between the brain of musicians and non-musicians, so I asked two of my friends if they could take a pretty easy maze test for me. My friend Erica has been playing the piano for the last 7 years and has a fairly solid music theory background. My other friend Abby does not play an instrument and she mostly doesn't have any music theory knowledge. The experiment included having them both take a fairly simple maze test and time them, and afterwards having them both listen to a piece of classical music I performed, and then asking them to take the test again and see if there's any difference in their results. I had them do this twice, once with an easy maze test and a second time with a slightly more difficult maze test. Both of their results are included in this slide, and I played part of Mozart's Rondo alla Turca, so they had a classical piece to listen to. I included a video of the first test they took, my performance of Rondo alla Turca, and a video of the last test they took. So the hanging question throughout the video has been, can music really cure diseases such as Alzheimer's or cure memory loss? And unfortunately, the straight answer is no. But I hope that I was able to explain that music can still play an important role in helping individuals who suffer from declining brain health. While learning to play an instrument and actively being involved in music cannot physically improve declining brain health, it is heavily encouraged for individuals with Alzheimer's or dementia because it can encourage them to become more social, more aware of their surrounding, as well as relieve any stress or anxiety. The interaction between music and the brain encourages collaboration between both scientists and musicians in the fight against brain disease, and hopefully if more examples similar to Elaine's become known, more research and experimentation will be done to help those affected. With that being said, forcing your child to listen to Baby Mozart will not prevent them from getting Alzheimer's or dementia, but encouraging them to pick up an instrument or take music classes will definitely help them in the long run.